Amazing evening. Bob Rakowski here out of Houston, Texas, featuring one of my absolute wonderful, beautiful, magnetic, magnificent friends, Neile Miller, on tonight's Conversation on Success. Neile, I'm just going to have you say a really quick hello, and then I'm going to jump into the story before the story before you and I met.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Bob, for having me on here. I'm so excited about tonight's call. So my name is Neile Miller. I'm from Houston, Texas. So whoever's watching right now, please drop a comment where you're from, what coffee you're enjoying during this call, hopefully something yummy. What's your favorite? I'm just excited to share my story. So thank you, Dr. Bob.
All right, so I'm going to just go back a little bit in time. So I actually have known this gentleman, Stephen Atwell, for a long, long time. In fact, I've known his mother for nearly 30 years. Family friends. There was a period of time where we worked together. There were certainly patients. And one day, Stephen comes into my office, and he's actually got his father-in-law with him. And he sees that I have organo coffee in the waiting area. And he looks at me, and he's got a very confused look on his face. And he says, "Tell me about this," as he's holding a sachet. I said, "What do you want to know?" He says, "Why are you selling this coffee?" I said, "Why? Because it's awesome coffee, super high quality. It's great for you. Why are you asking that question?" He says, "Well, you know, Bob, I'm a banker, and we have an account at our bank, and there's a gentleman that literally used to come to the bank and make deposits on his bicycle. And then within a period of a few years, he's got a very deep bank account. I know that because I run the bank, and he's driving a Ferrari. And he came into the bank and he tried to share this coffee with everybody, and I figured it had to be illegal. How does a guy go from a bicycle to a Ferrari to a big bank account? Well, that was the story of Jose Ardone, one of the best stories ever in the history of network marketing. But then Stephen shared the coffee with Guy Miller. Oh, by the way, when I said, "Stephen, why aren't you selling this coffee?" He says, "You know what? I'm asking myself that same question." And he started sharing it. And I think Stephen went sapphire in 6 weeks. But do you want to share Guy's experience, or do you want me to talk through that?
So Stephen talked to Guy about the coffee. He didn't say a whole lot. He said that there was a business opportunity attached, and actually Guy was looking for something at that point. He was looking for more of a click and order rather than a brick and mortar, because he didn't want to babysit, and he knew that, you know, multiple streams of income were pretty important. So he shared the cup of coffee with him, and of course Guy called Stephen on his way to work after drinking that coffee. He was 30 minutes away from work. He pulled over and called him and said, "What the heck is in this coffee?" And of course, Stephen's like, "Why? What do you ask?" And he said, "I feel like I could run the rest of the way to work." So of course, what do you think Guy did then? He called me and said, "Neile, you got to try that coffee on the counter." So yeah.
You know, I want to just take an aside, because this is a very important component. So, you know, we want friends with really good skill sets, and Guy is my go-to guy for finance. He's got a master's in finance. He started a bank. He's a money genius. So when he saw the numbers, he said, "Wow, this makes sense. And this is going to make dollars too." And now, by the way, Kelly and I affectionately call you the second coolest couple in Houston, Texas. I won't let you guess who's the first.
Yeah,
but we
I'm pretty sure.
love and appreciate you so much. And so now Guy tells you something. What was his message to you?
Well, he said, "Hey, I found something for us to do together." And at that point, I was like, yeah, we parent together, we live together, we're best friends. I don't know that I ever want to work with you. I wasn't looking for more. I felt like my life was pretty full at that point, with two very busy girls in dance and school, and being part of women's ministry. So I didn't think that there was anything else that I could do that I had time for. And for sure, I already had like a guard up about anything like this.
So if people can't relate to that, I've seen your schedule. Your girls are world class. They've got many lessons, many recitals, many performances, a lot of travel, you know, and in fact, even Zoe, right? She was in New York just before some kind of pandemic,
Go
which is kind of
figure.
interesting, right? So, I mean, traveling all over, and you are the ultimate dancer mom, that's for sure. I mean, you've led the way for your girls to succeed. And I want to give them a big shout out because I love their commitment. I love their dedication. I love the way that they're healthy and just the fine humans they are. But let's just take an aside with this too. But you feel it's very, very important that we need to get our spiritual life in order.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing. I thought that like God had led me to women's ministry and that was like my sole purpose. And obviously being a mom and a wife, I didn't realize that there was more for me to do. And it was so enmeshed with what the purpose God had already given me. So it made sense once I kind of got it, but we can go into that in a little bit.
I want to tell a little bit of that story, but I remember this was very, very early on, and you and Guy decided to put coffee to the test. So tell me about this coffee at midnight.
So I couldn't even drink coffee past noon because I very sensitive to caffeine. And so give me coffee after noon, it affects my sleep. It's not good. So he was like, hey, let's try this stuff out. We keep hearing that it promotes sleep. It promotes, like good energy. And so I was the test dummy for that. And, but it was good because we had coffee very late at night and we had a drive home. We actually had dinner with the Atwell family, enjoyed the night, had a nightcap with coffee and drove home. I went straight to sleep. I had the best sleep I'd had in a really long time. I woke up very alert and refreshed and I was like, okay, how did that happen? So yeah.
Certainly one of the touted benefits, but I'm going to go back. I'm going to go forward. I've got my slides slightly out of sequence. So you came over, you were invited to our home. Now I was out of town and I was looking for an old picture of you and Kelly, but you were really excited to come over, weren't you? You were ready to go.
No, I didn't want to be there at all. So when Guy told me that about, hey, I found something for us to do together, at that point, I really believed I didn't have time to do anything else. And then, of course, when he said kind of what it was, I was like, that's not for me. That's definitely not for me. So he said, look, you can say no, but at least make an educated decision and here's some information before you say no. So my husband is extremely intelligent in that way, and he believes in doing all the research because that's his personality. I'm probably more emotionally like I get excited and then I'll do the research. But so I went over to your guys' house that day literally to find the reason why I wasn't going to do this business. I sat in the kitchen while Kelly was trying to eat her lunch with a friend of hers. And she literally sat there telling me what was going on in your practice. And she just happened to share one story that she had no idea what I went to prior to meeting her. But she said how it was helping a patient that you had that was battling cancer and obviously didn't cure her, but that this woman didn't lose her hair. She wasn't getting sick. She was kind of like dealing day to day like you or I would deal. And so as Kelly was telling me that, it was like a gut check. So I lost my mom a year prior to that to cancer. And of course, I watched my mom battle cancer for 5 years. And the things that I saw her go through, I would not want anyone to ever go through. And my first question to her was, well, why the heck wasn't my mom introduced to this coffee? Like, what if my mom was introduced? And she's like, well, it's sad she wasn't introduced, but that's kind of our job to share it with people. And obviously, my mom didn't see anybody that was more holistic or people that actually talked about nutrition. So that's why she wasn't introduced. Well, that moment, it was like the light went on for me. I knew, well, Neile, you're introduced for a reason. So I knew me and my family were going to take the products and drink them as a preventative and just to stay healthy, get healthy. And that was my first initial. And then of course, like I watched a presentation and my arms were crossed literally the whole time. Even though I heard that I knew I was going to take it, still that business was not like something for me. But when I got home and talked to my husband, I was like, looks like we're going to be doing this business together. So Because the thing is everyone drinks coffee. I met my friends for coffee regularly, and I was like, oh my gosh, I could share something this powerful with people that I love. Why wouldn't I share it? So that was why, I decided I needed to do this.
So I want to share, I'm taking a course right now on speaking by a guy named Pete Vargas and another guy named Pat Quinn. And here's what they said. People are two types of decision makers. We have an emotional decision maker, and then we have a logic decision maker. And here's what he said. He says, most couples balance each other. You have one emotional decision maker, one logical. So Guy saw it. He saw the numbers. He learned that there was a patented competitive advantage. He looked at the market. He's a financial whiz. He says, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
No brainer. He's in at a gold pack. And then we can talk about law of attraction. We can talk about divine guidance. I actually happen to think they're kind of the same. But you were led early. You didn't want to come early. You didn't want to be there at all, into a conversation that ultimately has helped you to help so many people. So I love that. When we were talking, I said, for most people, there's two decisions. They make the decision with their head. That's the day they get into organo. And then somewhere later on, they make the decision with their heart. And we say that's when organo gets into them. Now, tell me about your experience with the head and the heart in this.
I don't know. I think because of what I watched my mom go through and witnessed for that whole, I felt like my mission was literally to be able to help people with something, with the power of Ganoderma. Like, I'd never heard of Ganoderma. I didn't understand that there was something out there that could be so beneficial for people's health. And I just knew I had to share it. So I feel like it was a heart and a head thing all at the same time, because I was always interested in health. But I had to learn from people like you and all the amazing other doctors and holistic practitioners and health coaches and all the network of people that we have in our network now. I've learned so many amazing things. And this is just a tool that helps so many, in practices. Just if you're drinking coffee, obviously you should drink something that contributes to your health. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of reading, a huge student. There's a book called Emotional Intelligence, and there was an article entitled Intelligence is Overrated. And it said, really, your IQ is responsible for a very small part of your success, but it's really your EQ, the emotional intelligence, emotional quotient, which is the ultimate that people strive for, and that's balance of head and heart. So congratulations on that. I think this is what makes you a great networker. You balance them both so wonderfully. So let's talk about maybe your personal experience now with the product itself.
Well, the best benefit of literally switching my coffee, I used to deal with a lot of stomach issues, and I really thought I was going to have to live with them for the rest of my life. So I would lose time with my family because of bloating and pain. And when I went to gastro doctors, they really didn't have a solution that I wanted to utilize, just because medications, I know it works for some, but I didn't want the side effects of the things that they were going to give me. So I was like, I'm going to find something nutritionally that can help me. And I changed my diet, but I still was having issues. So literally just changing my coffee made all of my stomach issues go away. And I didn't realize they went away until I think almost a year later. I got a stomach ache for something, and I was like, I haven't had a stomach ache in how long? Like, it took me that long to realize I was feeling so good. It's so sad that you feel good, you take it for granted, right?
And I can't tell you how many times we've had people go, my gosh, I realized this doesn't hurt anymore. I realized I have more energy. I realized that, wow, I fall asleep when my head hits the pillow. I realize my tennis game is better. I realize whatever. And how wonderful that people get that with such a simple change. But let's work our way through this. So maybe we'll start at the very beginning in this picture. So tell me about this guy.
That's Mr. Namdo. He is a family member now. He has been a mentor, a coach, a friend. He's one of our best friends now in this business. He helped me a lot to be able to give me, I think, a lot of confidence and just like boost. I don't think I was that self-confident when I first was introduced. So I think the whole team of people that I'm around have helped me with that. But he's a dear friend. We travel with him. He's one of our vacation friends, and we spend a whole lot of time with him. He's like Uncle Nam in our house now.
So I followed the chain down here. I'm gonna skip a little bit. So Nam introduced coffee to Angela Wynn, who introduced it to Thomas Flippin, who actually was Jacob's Bible study leader for Young Life. But tell me about the first time you met Jacob Rakowski.
So that day that I went to your house, literally to find the reason why I wasn't going to do this business, your son answered the door that day. He was dressed to the nines. I wasn't looking that great. I was so blown away by this young kid. I couldn't believe it was a 19-year-old young man who held himself in a way I'd not ever seen any 19-year-old hold himself. And he was dressed nice. He could speak. I mean, I was just like, something's going on here. I don't know what, but there were clues. And of course we hear success leaves clues, right? So he just totally impressed me that day. And of course, he's a great human being. He loves helping people. I mean, you've raised an amazing son. He's learned from the best. So.
Well, Neile, I'm going to go to Abraham Lincoln on that. He says, "All that I am, all that I'll ever be, I owe to my mother." And he's right. So, you know, when we enjoy all of our children, they're all wonderful and balanced and healthy and successful and great contributors to the planet. I jokingly, but not jokingly, say, you know, Kelly had the tough job. My role was kind of fun, right? So she just did the hard work, and I trust that's true in your house and maybe almost every house. Now I know you and Guy are a great team. Kelly and I are a very good team too, but moms are super, super, super human. So we have become absolutely fantastic friends. And we'll go on now to Stephen Atwell for a moment. So, you know, Stephen's a very interesting guy, and he led Guy to it. And he's had a good business, but he's just a guy that he's content where he is, right? It doesn't look like he's, you know, ready to take this thing on a rocket ship tour. But let's talk about a few of the downstream effects from NAMDO, and let's talk about Virginia and maybe specifically her son for a moment. So, do you know, did she have an interesting testimonial?
She had a lot of interesting testimonials. So, but her son is an amazing one because they spent thousands of dollars on a solution for her son that was having a facial and body tics. And he was getting in trouble in class because of it. His teachers thought he was being disrespectful when technically his face was just, you know, having some facial tics. And so she asked if these products could help. And of course, they can't hurt. So why don't you put it to the test? And literally just giving him some hot chocolate, his facial tics went away. And they tested it by stopping giving him hot chocolate, and the facial tics came back. So she got a real clue, like, okay, it was the Ganoderma. So yeah. And it's funny how I shared with her because she was my daughter's art teacher, and our girls were best friends. And she had my older daughter's art at a show. And so when we walked up and we were talking, she sounded like congested and sick. And I said, "Oh, girl, you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, just like I had a student cough in my face. I'm now sick." So I said, "Can I give you something?" And she was like, "Sure." So literally I open my purse and I give her some spores, some Ganoderma spores. I hand them to her. I say, "Hey girl, take 3 of these and then take some in the morning and let me know." She called me the next day and she said, "Oh my gosh, I can't even believe, what was that? I feel so amazing now. Like it killed whatever was happening in my body." So it was pretty cool testimonial, like initial testimonial.
Well, those are always the funnest. So let's go down the line a little bit and tell me about the last person, and maybe even turn it back as far as you want. But how about beautiful Donna Mae here? Tell me about her.
So Donna Mae is an amazing story. I was introduced to Jolene through Brandy, who was introduced to me by Virginia. And I love it because Jolene actually, because of her religion, she could not drink coffee. It was like against her religion, but she was open to health. And so she became open to what Ganoderma could do for her. And so her mom, what she had an open wound on her foot, and she'd already lost her other leg. And so that foot was not healing. And so she asked, "Do you think this could help?" And of course we said, "Well, it can't hurt." So she gave her, she went and talked to the PA at the place where she was staying and said, "I want you to give her these capsules and let's just see if it helps." And literally the wound stopped oozing, like it cleared up within a week or a week and a half's time. And she kept her on that protocol. And what's amazing to me is that Jolene had experienced with her mom. Her mom she had a lot of memory issues and hadn't been able to remember her name, her husband's, the family members. And she couldn't tell you what day she was there or not there. But after being on Ganoderma for about a month or so, Jolene missed a day and her mom said, "How come you didn't come yesterday?" And it was like a moment of, wait, what? You don't, she said, "You were going to come and you didn't come." So then she started quizzing her and it was just miraculous, just miraculous.
You know, I love the way that you share, and I also like the way you answer the question, will this help with? So this is our standard question. So by the way, we can't make any health claims. So if someone says, "Can this help with ABC health condition?" What's our answer?
I don't know, but it can't hurt.
There it is. And what about CDE health condition?
I don't know, but it can't hurt.
And what about the next health condition?
I don't know, but it can't hurt.
And this diagnosis?
Yeah, I don't know, but it can't hurt.
I'm doing that to just drive this point home. We don't make any health claims, but we are in 36 countries. Not a single box of our coffee or tea has a warning label about duration of use, about how many a day. So the world recognizes that what we have is very, very safe. And then the body, whatever it does in the body, hey, it's one, if they're drinking coffee, we can say that our coffee is healthier. That we can say.
Yes.
And we have plenty of data to back that up. So go for it.
We can also say it's alkaline, right? I think that the reishi makes it alkaline. Yes? Is that
We can say that it's more alkaline than regular coffee.
Okay, there you go.
But so let me share this because people may have this question. So when you look at the literature, you'll find that some consider reishi the most alkaline food in the world. But it depends on the water that it's going to be blended with, everything else. Someone might put a pH strip in our coffee. It might still be a little bit on the acid side because of every other factor. But this is how I share this with patients. If you were to drink lemon juice, if you put lemon in a cup and you put a pH strip in, would that be acid or alkaline? Do you know?
Acid.
And what about once it goes through your body? Is it affect acidifying or alkalizing?
Alkalizing.
Yeah, and that's the amazing thing. So when things have nutrition and they go through our body and they make changes and they enhance certain processes, the overall effect is clearly alkalizing. But there's a lot of factors in if someone's going to put a piece of pH paper or use a pH meter on a cup of coffee. But we have so many good stories. Let's go to this one because these are two people we both know and love.
Absolutely love Brenda and Jarrell. They both have amazing testimonies, and this doesn't even look like them. We need another photo because they both they're amazing and they've lost weight and they look amazing now. So Brenda is not a coffee drinker. She was looking for an opportunity and she was open to trying our tea. And so what I didn't know about her is that she dealt with some acid here, and it made it difficult to sleep at night. And so so just from drinking the red tea, she had a really good night's sleep, and her husband commented noticing. So yeah, so they're an amazing couple, some of my favorite people, and they have some amazing testimonies. And I know that she was on a lot of medications when she first got started with Organo and taking the products, and she's no longer on any of those medications. So
now that was fun, and that we can say. So literally, I think it was like 8 or 9 bottles of medications. Now keep in mind, she's a nurse. She's also a minister. And she just realized, wow, I'm getting better. I'm getting better. I don't need that one. 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 And whatever period of time, it was a handful of months, we did a Zoom with her and she said, I'm throwing all these away. I don't need any of them anymore because my body is healthier at this point in time. And Jarrell, he got himself in shape more so. They both look great in this picture because they're in love and they radiate love to the world because they have it. But do you know how much weight he lost?
Oh my gosh, I can't remember. Was it 80 pounds?
Well, it was
90?
a bunch. Let's just put it that way. We'll just give it
It was
a
a
number.
bunch.
But
I'm
he
in trouble for not
on
knowing.
Bowflex, on Ganoderma, leaned out quite a bit. And again, I think the best thing about this business is always the friendships, and they are two wonderful, wonderful friends and people. So when we were talking, most people don't look too far into the future, but you brought up this book, this speaker, and this philosophy. And how does this fit in with you?
So it's interesting because when my husband introduced me to this business, I wasn't looking for a business. I didn't think that this was something I could do. I saw him as the business person and me as the stay-at-home mom. And I was living vicariously through my kids. And obviously, luckily, like I had women's ministry and that was it. But there was something inside me that literally knew, like, when my kids leave, I have to find a career. I have to find something to do that I can contribute financially to this house. That was the one component that was missing as I was at home. I hated not being able to make some money and bring it into our home, not contributing that way, to the finances. I know I was contributing in other ways, but I knew I had to think and do something now because it would come faster than I realized. And it's here. I mean, it's been 7 years and literally my daughter is graduating this next year and we'll be down to one child and college and all that fun stuff. So, yeah.
I'm gonna give a big shout out to Harvey McKay. I met him in person many, many times. I've read all of his books. His most recent is "You Haven't Hit Your Peak Yet," and he's calling it his autobiography. And by the way, I think he's 88 years old. But he is a phenomenal networker. He's not a network marketer. He is a networker. And what he'll tell you is all business is about your network. And he shares how he was told by his father, I want you to meet a new person every single day and find a creative way to stay in touch with them. And that's how he's built a phenomenal wealth of every one of life's riches. And by the way, his company's McKay Envelope. So if you think people aren't mailing that much anymore, he's still got a multi-million-dollar business because he's met the needs of people and he does it so well. So I'm gonna give that a shout out. But you learned somewhere along the way about BNI. So tell me about that.
I was invited to come and visit a networking group. And at that point, I had some serious fears of speaking in front of a crowd. But God was already working on me in that with women's ministry. So he was just kind of telling me, look, Neile, you're gonna have to get outside of your bubble and, go into environments that you're not comfortable in. But it really helped me to see myself more as a businesswoman, because if you have a business, you are a business person, right? Not just somebody that's sharing coffee or tea and helping health. I am running a business. But BNI was a great resource and it provided a network for me to be able to create a family and just an atmosphere where these people they're like motivating me to be better and to be accountable and to literally just have daily method of operation, because I had never worked for myself before. So when you don't work for yourself and you've got to have things to do, you don't know what to do, then you can kind of just not do anything, right? So this just helped me to stay even more plugged in and on task for the things that I needed to do to build a business.
I'm going to give a shout out to BNI, and I would actually almost call it like Toastmasters for business people. So
Yeah.
you literally have to share your story succinctly in a way that gets the message across every single week.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a book called Beach Money. I'm a huge fan of learning, and it's written by a guy named Jordan Adler, and he is making a fortune, right? We're not supposed to make income claims in a company called Send Out Cards, but he built it mostly through BNI. So he has people in chapters all over, and the business they represent is cards. And the business that you represent is?
Healthy beverage, coffee and
Healthy
tea.
beverage, right? Let's keep it simple like that, right? Because we got coffee, we got tea, we got shakes, and our niche is going to be the health component. So you have just found a way to plug in, be consistent, and win these wonderful OG getaways. So just tell me a little bit about that. How fun has that been? How has that expanded your world? And, you know, how much are you looking forward to the next one?
So I didn't realize how motivated I am by being in contests. It's definitely very motivating to me. It's something that helps me to stay on track. But you know, for doing what you're supposed to be doing and winning trips, it's absolutely amazing to spend time with people that now I feel like I have family all over the world because I vacationed with people from all over the world, and we're very like-minded because we've all got the same mission, which is to help people, you know, on a daily basis, just with their coffee or tea, or impacting their life in some way with how we are, you know, how you treat people, how you love people, how you encourage. Being around people that like motivate you and inspire you is pretty empowering.
Just a follow-up comment to that, you know, the one thing that we've seen, and by the way, Kelly and I won the trips as soon as, I'll say as soon as Kelly decided that we were going to win the trips, and we plugged in and we made that happen. But the first many OG getaways that we won, I was already booked in advance on speaking tours, and I just thought, yeah, it's a vacation. I can go on vacation. Once I was on my first OG getaway, I booked it off the next year, the next year, the next year,
Yeah.
because it's community, it's joy. You expand your relationships and you expand your skill sets because people are sharing so wonderfully. So here was some of your Houston OG family at last year's Christmas. It must have been, right? Not the most recent one, because that was before Lily, but this is literally, I think Jacob and Megan had been dating for 2 weeks at that point in time, and now they're married and have a baby. But this is the OG family. This year, we would have seen Lily. No, they wouldn't have been there. That's right, because Lily was 2 days old. But you love entertaining. You have beautiful parties. Anything you want to say about this picture, about the community, about the family? You want to mention Ovidio's testimony. You want to talk about Cheryl's dad. You know, you want to talk about Aurelia's personal development. You want to give a shout out to Debbie. You know, I'm looking at Steve and Robin, you know, just beautiful, beautiful stories. Tanae, you know, she's one of the family.
She is one of the family. She's, yeah. So all the people in this picture I absolutely love. I'm grateful for the people that have come into my life and just the ways that we've been able to spend time together. I will tell you about Aurelia. She is probably one of the most driven women I've ever met in my life. She is a go-getter. And she's just on fire. Like she's like wants to accomplish, and she's just on fire. And so I love her story because I was introduced to her through BNI, and she's a health coach. And she's amazing. She knows her stuff. But when I first was introduced to her, she wasn't looking to add anything more to what it was that she was doing, because she felt like, you know, like I'm going to teach them about nutrition, and that's really all that they need. So she referred me to OV and Jana because she was trying to take his coffee away because of an ailment that he had that was making it worse. And so she tried to give him some alternate coffees, and he didn't like any of them. So she finally broke down and said, okay, you need to call my friend Neile. She's got coffee that I know you'll think it tastes good. Just go and meet her for coffee. We met for coffee, and literally he was like, this is coffee. It tastes amazing, and got a box that day. So it changed his life. He's not been in and out of the hospital like he used to be. He lost some weight. Like his wife also had an amazing testimonial. But once she saw what this could do for her patients or her clients, you know, she was like, okay, I missed the boat. This is a tool. I can use this with my coaching clients. And so it was really cool just to be able to experience that and see that. And you know, and Cheryl, I met at church. We actually talked about doing fundraising for her daughter for band. You know, that's how her and I started talking. And we were put in a daycare setting. Like we were both volunteering in the youth area that Sunday morning. I never would have met her if I wasn't put in the same room with her through, church. So they've become some of our friends. They live right down the street. Of course, we live right down the street from y'all because we've become so close. So yeah, everyone in this family, Brenda and Jarrell, I mean, they're all family. And Tanae, we wouldn't have met her if it weren't for you. She is like my daughter's sister, my sister. So yeah, we're all one big family.
She's got that perfect age where she's great for the girls and great for all of us. What a beautiful soul.
Yeah.
So now we've got a new rising star on the horizon. So who's that good looking guy in that picture?
So that's my dad. And I'm beyond proud of this man. When he decides to do something, he's going to do it and he does it. So he is a rising star right now. He's sharing and he's got some new leaders coming into the fold, and he's just focused and on fire, and he's a great grandpa, and we're going to get him out here to Houston soon because he's in San Diego, California. But yeah, I'm grateful for him. He's an amazing man, and I can't say more about him. He's probably one of my favorite people because the things that he says, yes, he looks young. He's a good encourager for me. I love that he recognizes how hard I think that I've worked and the changes that have happened to me because of this business.
No, I really wish I would have met your mom, but knowing your dad, I can, he is just so likable, and how, I don't know, it's just almost like a gift from above. He is one of the most likable guys you're ever going to meet. Magnetic smile, fantastic personality, and like you said, the world is his, and now, because he was a real estate giant, that's taken a little bit of a turn for the moment. So it's a good time to start looking at other things like coffee. So I was asking you about your goal, and you mentioned the number 12. So
Yeah.
what's magic about that number? Tell me about that.
So this is the thing. I was at church one Sunday and they were talking about the 12 disciples and just like the giving the message, that you've got to give them the message and then they go out and share the message. And for me, that was just kind of confirmation on like, okay, you're going to have 12 disciples. We're going to share a message that's powerful, that something that can literally change someone's life by changing their coffee. And that was, for me, it's like 12 leaders in my organization. And that's the goal. And they don't all have to be doing the same thing, but they're all going to be leading. So yeah.
I love that. And by the way, this is one of the best networking stories of all time, right? So we started with 12 and then, one quit kind of early on. And in fact, kind of even, maybe even we could say badmouthed the leader. But this is a couple 1,000-year-old network, if we want to call it that. And it's certainly not saturated, is it?
Not at all.
So
Not
I want you to think about that. Even though the numbers are in the billions, it's still not saturated. So really doesn't matter what you're sharing, how you're sharing, who's sharing it. Some people are going to say no. Some people are going to quit. And, a couple 1,000 years, I don't think we're going to be saturated just yet, but we're certainly going to be very, very happy. And the people that decide to join forces with us are going to have a lot of benefits as well. So I asked you if you had a favorite quote or a favorite philosophy. And tell me about this.
Well, early on, I think mindset was something that I really needed to work on. And I didn't realize this in the beginning, but I as excited as I wasn't as coachable as I needed to be. And it took me realizing that hearing some things for me to wake up to, Neile, you need to open your mind and be open to just hearing what you don't want to hear. And take it as something that you can work on. It's an opportunity to get better. And I've heard Rod Norville say you can either get better or get bitter, and I don't want to get bitter. So I love that. And so obviously through this whole process, I've definitely learned whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So you have to believe in yourself. And in the beginning, I had a bunch of people believing in me, and that's kind of what propelled me. And now, I believe in myself, and of course I'm believing in others, and we're just kind of passing the torch. So
there's a good teaching point. One, you're super easy to believe in because you're authentic. and you're likable and you're radiant and you have virtue. You know, you're the real deal. And people know that when they see you. They know that you will lead them down a path that you know in your heart is going to be very, very good for them. And I think that's possibly the greatest asset that any networker, any human can have. So let's wrap it up. And do you have anything you want to say to our OG family as we wind down this beautiful evening and move forward?
I'm so grateful for Organo. I think it's changed my life in a lot of ways, and it's going to continue to change my life. I'm not done. I obviously have a lot of goals. I'm grateful for the lifestyle that we have. I'm grateful for the flexibility that I have because, you know, being a mom of two girls, and I know families in our organization that have a lot more kids than I do, but just being able to work in the pockets of my day. I'm just grateful for the people that I get to meet, the people that are inspiring me every day to just be better, do better, work harder. So that's really all I can say. I'm grateful for you and Kelly. You guys have absolutely inspired us. When we first met you, your family was inspiring to us because we're like, look, we can raise amazing kids like they have, and you know, just make a good impact in this world. And of course, we're grateful for the friendship because we love you guys, you know. So
You know, now that I came back to one thing. I said we're going to wrap up with that, but Dakota, I think she stuck some metal in the microwave or something like that, didn't she?
she did, and she almost broke the microwave just recently. So that's a funny story. So I love that she's gone to events and she's learned some valuable tools for accountability. But she broke our microwave, and we told her she needed to raise the money to be able to buy a new one, because we weren't going to just buy her a new one. We wanted her to learn the lesson. And so she went door to door, and she was able to sell coffee and pay for a new microwave. And that was really cool. She was excited about doing it too, which I love that, you know?
Now, if I got the math right, didn't she make something like $200 in a couple hours?
Yep.
And how old was she at the time?
Oh gosh, was she 8 or 10? I don't remember.
Somewhere in that neighborhood, right? But we've
Yeah.
got a young girl, 8 or 10 years old, going door to door, makes $200 in 2 hours.
Yeah.
So sometimes we see pictures of people that have overcome, and the caption is, "What's your excuse?" And in reality, there isn't an excuse. We've got a great product, and if we learn to share it from the heart,
Yeah.
then the world is ours. So let's wrap this up on this beautiful evening by telling the world, you know what we have is something that the world really, really needs right now.
Yeah.
We don't make any claims, but we certainly know it's healthier than the average stuff going out there. And when people put in their body will tell them how good it is for them. As my great friend Diane Solano likes to say, bodies don't lie.
Yeah.
So with that, let's sign off and wish everybody a happy, healthy, beautiful, amazing, wonderful evening. And we know that we all can be happy, healthy, and successful. So good night all, and God bless.
Good night. Thank you.